Hello, how's it going? So today we're going to be building a real-time-ish chat using the short polling technique. So you can see that I have two chats open here. So if I type something on the other side like hello, it shows up here, and very quickly it'll show up on the other side. And then it's kind of real time because it's constantly looking for requests or making requests to see if there's new messages. Real time, real time. So it's just like a nice, simple approach to having real time at a simple level. So we're gonna go through that and we're gonna make this. And this is kind of a video just to help me get back into things. And also, it's something new. It's something new to me. Like real time, something I've never really understood. I started learning about it, and I'm starting with like polling, and then eventually I'll get into WebSockets and stuff like that. So let's get into it. We're gonna be using Prisma with SQLite. We're not gonna deploy this, and we will be using KindeAuth for authentication because it's not an auth tutorial, so I just want to use third-party auth just to get it out of the way. And yeah, let's just get into it real quick. So let me just boot up some stuff. Okay, let's get my terminal up. Here we go. Okay, so let's create a brand new Next.js app with the CLI. So npx create next app at latest. And let's call this YouTube real-time chat. What is your app name? YouTube real-time chat. TypeScript, yes. ESLint, yes. Tailwind, yes. Source directory, no. App router, yes. TurboPack, yes. Import alias, nope. Or don't customize the import alias. Okay. Let's see what we have. It's installing the dependencies. The app we're going to build is going to be a little bit different from the one I showed you stylistically, but it should function pretty much the same. Okay, so I'm going to cd into my repo, open up VS Code. Then we're going to go ahead and make half the screen the code and the other half my browser. And then let's start by cleaning up a little bit. I'm going to delete all these files in the public folder. We don't need any of these. I'm going to open up my app folder. I'm going to go to page.tsx. I'm going to remove everything. Just create a page. Okay. I'm going to create a prettier.rc file to configure some personal settings I like to have when I'm doing a simple project like this. So semicolons I want off, single quotes I want true, JSX single quotes also true, and then the print width I want it to be 100. Okay, then I also want, that's it for now. What else do we want to clean up? That might be it. Let's go ahead and run the dev server, npm run dev. Let's boot it up. And the first thing I want to do is remove these default stylings. So let's just clear everything from here in the globals.css. Just keep the Tailwind directives. And then in our Tailwind config, let's just delete the theme here. There you go. We're going to probably use light mode for this tutorial. Now I want to work in mobile view only, so let's see when that happens. So we'll do a BG blue 500, and at the small breakpoint we'll do BG blue, BG green 500. So when it turns blue is the size we want it. Okay, so we're going to stick with that size. And I'll make the font size a little bit bigger so everybody can see a little better. Let's try 16 here. Okay, nice and big. And I'm just going to install one dependency for now for styles. If you go to Google and type in Tailwind Forms, you'll get this GitHub repo, Tailwind Labs / Tailwind CSS Forms. Skip this. npm install d. Let me open up a new terminal at Tailwind CSS Forms, and then in our tailwind.config file, just add this one line. Okay, and there we go. And TypeScript is not happy with this. Let's just go ahead and add a ESLint disable. Okay, and that's fine. And what to do next is let's create a, look in our layout file. I don't think I want to do anything here. Let's just set up the base page. So I'm just going to see my sample I have real quick. So very simply, I'm going to have some empty segments here. Okay. And I will have a header. This whole website will be one page. One page. The login pages will be hosted by Kind. Footer. Header, main, footer. The header will be height 16, border B. Then we'll have a div in here. Let me turn off GitHub Copilot for a second here. Oh, here. Okay. Can I not disable completions? I think that worked. Okay, let's do a div. So it'll be our container. It'll be class of container, which I'm not sure. Yeah, that's built in to Tailwind. MX auto, flex, H full, max width, screen small, item center, justify between, and then padding X of 4. Okay, then we'll have an H1, text to XL, font bold, real-time chat. And then the other side of the flex box will be some buttons. We'll do let's just have a fake variable here called const authenticated is equal to true, or is authenticated. Okay, so if is authenticated, then this, otherwise that. So if you're authenticated, let's see a button that says log out. And if it's not, we'll see a div with flex gap 4, and we'll say another button that says log in, and one that says register. Okay. Let's style these buttons. Since we're gonna have buttons everywhere, it's okay. We can rewrite it. I'll make it simple. So px2 py 0.5. Let's try this. bg blue 500. Hover bg blue 700. Transition rounded shadow. How's that look? A little text white, I guess. Text white. Font medium. I think that's text small. Let's do text small. Is that okay? Text medium. Okay, that's good enough. Let's leave it like that. And then all our buttons are gonna look the same. Cool. We could probably make this a class, but it's okay. We're not gonna have too many buttons. And that's pretty much the entire header. Let's skip all the way to the footer. we're just gonna have the same container here. We copy this. And we're just gonna have a span with text small, and then we can do like text black. Try 50. That might be a little too light. And copy new date dot get full year real time chat. Let's see what that looks like. Where is it? Oh, right here. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Oh, and the footer could use a H16 border T. Cool. And then the main tag. Let's build it out slowly. So start with the height of this, which we're gonna hard code as height calc 100 VH minus 4 rem minus 4 rem. So this first 4 rem is the height of the header, and the second 4 rem is the height of the footer. I like to be explicit here, so if I change it later, I can like know where these numbers are coming from. Okay, see? So now we have a full page. And let's just move this to the item center justify between. I guess we don't need justify between here. To justify n maybe, just so you can see the footer. There you go. Okay, that's cool. And there you go. And then the main stuff will have two main components. First, we're gonna have this container again. We can close the header and footer. Let's make it simple. So we'll come back to the header in a little bit. Okay, it's the same container we've been using. Anything special with this? We don't want any of the flex stuff here. MX auto full, yeah, it's fine. PX4. We'll give it a PY of 8 to separate it from the header and the footer. Okay, and then we will have a flex box here with H full, flex call, and gap of 4. And in here we'll have the two items. We're going to have the message list and then the message form. Okay. So the message list will be a div with H full flex grow. So it'll grow to fit the container of the take all the available space because we want the chat messages to be as big as possible. Overflow hidden, rounded border P4 shadow. So you can see the box is already made here for taking up the most space. Okay, dot H full overflow Y auto PR2, and this will give it the scroll bar once we have actual messages, which will go here. Okay, and then on the other side we have the message form. Should be a div. It'll be a form. That's whoopsie. Flex gap 4. It'll have another flex grow here. This will be for the actual input, so that we want the input to take up as much space as possible. So we'll have a label, HTML4 message, and a class name SR only. SR only means we'll only like screen readers will see this message. We don't really care to show the label, but we still need it for accessibility reasons. And then input, which hopefully should be styled because of what we installed earlier. Message name is message, and then let's see what that looks like. Okay, we can work on it a little bit. And then another div we'll put here, and we'll just put a button. Type is submit, and we'll say send. And this button will style like all the header buttons, so we can copy this. All our buttons will look the same. That's okay. Let me actually think for a second. How do I want to do this? So I think I'm missing something. Let me just double check. Let's give our input a width of full. Okay. Let's give it rounded, and let's do border black 50 maybe 20. Okay, that's okay, I think. Yeah, that's fine. The button, let's do H full maybe on this. That's okay. Let's do this. Let's keep this. So perfect. All right. This is our chat box. It's all good. Now we just need to make the forms are done. Actually, we just need to hook it up to an action. So an action will go here. Let's just create an empty action called create message. So to create a server action, we'll create it in, create a new folder. We'll call it actions. And we'll create a new file called create message.action.ts. I've just been playing around with what to call these files. So export async function create message. So take in form data, type form data, and then we can just do const message is equal to form data dot get message, and then we can just like cast it as a string like this, putting in some template literals, so it should be a string, right? Yep. And let's just log it, console.log message. Let's test it out. Hello world. We didn't hook up the action, so let's go back here. We'll import it, save, and try one more time. Hello world. Perfect. See, you get it right in the log. Okay. Now I think the next good thing to do here would be to install Prisma, and we'll set up our Prisma schema. So let's do that. So let's see if I can do it without looking at documentation. So I've done it so many times. The xpx Prisma at latest init -- data source -- provider is equal to SQLite. Okay, so let's try this. Perfect. Okay. Let's delete all this. If you want to go production with SQLite, you can use TersoDB, which I plan to use for a future tutorial. Okay. So we can go to our Prisma. Let's create a schema, right? So Prisma is so nice to work with, at least at a base level. So a message will have message ID of type string at ID at default CUID. Actually, you know what? Let's make it an integer. Okay. And then we'll do a created at. I always like to do a created at and updated at. You never know when you'll need it in the future. At updated at, okay? And then I like to write my fields here. And then my user ID, which I'll call it kind ID for future potential migration purposes, and display name. You don't need a display name, but I think I'll just make the chat look a little bit more friendlier than looking at a bunch of emails or IDs. Okay. And now that's good. So we'll do npx Prisma db push to push these changes to our database. Perfect. Okay. Now we'll create a new file. Let's create a lib folder. New folder lib. And in here we'll create a new file called prisma.ts. And then we'll import the Prisma client, which I don't think we installed. Oh, we did. Okay. DB push installed it for us. And then we'll do const global for Prisma. We're going to create a reusable Prisma client while we're in development. So global as known as Prisma client. Export const Prisma is equal to global.for.prisma or new Prisma client. So if we already have one, just use the same one, otherwise create a new Prisma client. If process.env.nodeEnvironment is equal to production, then global4.prisma.prisma is equal to Prisma. This is straight from the documentation. If you look up Prisma Next.js best practices. Okay, so let's create a wrapper for our message list. So let's create a components folder, I guess. Components. And we can call this one new file. Wait, where am I? Whoopsie. Let's minimize this. We can put up the dev server again, actually, too. Where's my components folder? Right here. Let's create a new component called message list server. This will be a React server component whose only responsibility is for grabbing the messages on the server and then passing it to our actual message list, which will be a client component. And this is a very common way to work in Next.js workflow. So const. I'm gonna create an action for this actually called find all messages.action.ts. Use server. Okay. Import Prisma from prisma.lib. Import type Prisma from Prisma client. Export async function find all messages, and I'm going to give it a where input. So if I ever want to pass in, actually, let me check if I actually use this because I don't want to make it more confusing than it is. I don't use this actually, so let's just remove this where at all. So for this tutorial, we'll just leave this out. But it's a really cool thing I want to show off in the future. Prisma is awesome for types too. TypeScript. So const messages equal to await Prisma dot message dot find many. Order by created at ascending, and then that's it. And then let's return it as an object of data messages. I like to return as data. Okay. So now in our server list, we'll get const is equal to await find all messages. And the reason why we extracted it to a separate file is because we're going to use this twice. So I think that makes sense. Data messages. Okay, and then we will create another component called message list. Message list.tsx. This would be a client component, so I'll write use client at the top. Message list. Just needs some props. So type message list props is going to be an array of messages. Is that what I call it? No, I call it initial messages to make it more clear. And this will be an array of message, and this type comes from Prisma, thankfully. And then we can destructure this straight away. And then we can just print, here, let's just print the number of messages is equal to initial messages dot length. Cool. So now we can import our message list here. We'll pass in initial messages equals to messages. /components. Cool. So we don't need to touch this component. It's just a wrapper to pass the data. Okay. And let's bring it in. Let's bring it in right here. message list server. Cool. So we got number of messages 0, and that makes sense because we have 0 messages, and we can see that, right? Let's log the messages. Console.log messages. See, we got an empty array, length of 0. Awesome. So we got that done. Okay. Let's. Do I actually use this? This might not be necessary. Okay, we're gonna install KindeAuth, and I think for this we'll just use the quick start tutorial. So let's go to KindeAuth, kind.com, start for free. I might not have an account. Let's see, on this GitHub. So I'll continue with GitHub. Business name. Let's call this YT Realtime Chat. US Oregon. Okay, use kind with my existing code base. Next. I'm using Next.js. Next. I'm going to have just the email provider here. Next, I'll explore at my own pace. Let's go to my application. Let's go to here. Set up in minutes with our Next.js talks. That's what I want. No, I think I want the quick start right here. Quick start. So change this when you deploy. Let's install it npm I at KindeOss KindeAuth Next.js. You can easily just copy these environment variables. I'm going to do it on the side, just in case it's actually important. Let me just double check if it's there. Cool, yeah. All right. We'll need to create API endpoints, so you can, here's a trick, just copy this part right here. API auth KindeAuth route.js. Copy this and just paste it, or click on app, click on new file, and just paste that and press enter. It'll create all the folders for you. And you can route.js to TS if you want. And just copy this route handler right here. That's done. So now we have access to our authentication from the client side. And then we're going to add these sign in and sign up buttons. So we're going to do that back at the home page. Register link and login link, and we will do, well, we'll just change this first button to the login link, and we'll change the second button to register link. Cool. So let's see if how that looks right now. npm run dev. Well, let's change this to false. Cool. And let's also get the log out link. I believe there is log out. Yes. And we want to use that here. Perfect. Okay. And we can sign up our users. And yeah, from here, I think it's okay. Let's const authenticated. We need to grab something, so we can grab that from our kind. So we can get const is authenticated from get kind server session. And then to use this, we'll need to make this an async page. And we'll change this to await is authenticated. All right, let's refresh the page, see if it's all working. So we can see here that because we are not authenticated, this will be false. Let's actually log that, actually. Await is authenticated. See, null. It can be, yeah. Let's leave this logged for now. But because this is null, which is falsy, it'll show these links to login and register link. So now we actually have enough to register an account. So let's go to register. And I don't want to use a real email. So I'm just going to go to Google and type in a 10-minute email. This is okay for testing, but if you come back the next day, you're not going to remember you can't get this email again, so it's going to be a little annoying. You'll have to create another account. But when on your own time, if you're not recording, just use your real email. It's okay. So I'm at tempmail.org. Let's try this out. I'll copy this. Do I need a name? I do. Draft reactor. I don't want to overthink this. Create your account. It's gonna send the code. All right, here we go. YouTube real-time chat. Hi there. Here's your code. And we're good. We just created an account. Okay, but I went to our dashboard page because in your environment variables, there's a variable called kind post login redirect URL. Just change that one to the home page instead. So I just did that. So it's okay. Let's go back to the home page. We're not on the dashboard. All right. So now we can see that it's true. We are authenticated. So now we see the log out button. So if I do that again, if I click log out, we're logged out. Let's go to log in. Oh, I just closed the temp mail, right? Here we go. Again, be careful. You're not going to have this email again. I hope it comes back to me. Or is it going to give me a new one? Yeah, this looks the same one. Copy. Log in. And send them some new code. Where's my code? Where's my code? Come on. Should I resend? Resend. Resend code, resend code, resend code. What's going on? Oh, this is a different email. Oh my gosh. Change email address? Oh, I can't get back that email. Okay, that's annoying. 10-minute email. Can I use this one? I have to create a new account. Okay. It's okay. Let's go quickly. Register. Bob. 2. There we go. It's just for tutorial purposes. Unfortunately, I need to create another account later too, but that's okay. I think there's a way around this actually, but let's not worry about that. Okay, we're logged in. I'm not going to log out of this account now. Okay, so we're pretty much ready. Let's go ahead and go back to our create message function. And let's just get the user now. So const get user. This is going to come from get kind server session. And we'll const user equals to await get user or get user. And then let's log the user out. Let's log the user, I mean. Okay, so blah blah blah, enter. Here's our user. ID, email, family name, given name, picture, username, phone number. We only care about the ID and we kind of care about the email. I assume everyone's always gonna have an email, so that's why I'm gonna use the email for our display name. So redirect. If there's no user, let's just redirect them to the login page, which is that API auth login. We didn't make this page, but if you see this bracketed kind auth, that means kind auth covers everything API/auth. So /API/auth/login /API/auth/register /API/auth/ blah blah blah. These are all. It's a catch-all. Kind auth will set all these up for us. Okay. So then we did const message. We got it already, and then let's do. We can do this. If message.length is equal to 0, we can just return. We won't let them put empty messages. Const display name is equal to user.email.split on the @ 0 dot to lowercase. If that doesn't exist, we'll just call it anonymous. Okay, and then finally we just await prisma.message.create data content message display name kind ID user.id. There we go. Now we can create a message. So my first message, enter, it's created. Let's refresh the page. Now we have one message in our database. Now let's show them on the page, shall we? So I want to, actually I forgot to do one thing. So let's do that real quick. Let's create a auth provider in components. Auth provider.tsx. It's going to be use client. Import kind provider from kind OS. Type auth provider provider props is equal to children of type react node. Export const auth provider is equal to children of type auth provider props, and this just returns the kind provider with children. So we're just wrapping it and making sure it exports as a client component. And then we go to our main layout. Honestly, you might not even need this, but it's okay. I want to go to the kind auth docs real quick here and see where do we put the auth provider. We wrap our whole thing, so we can do that. Auth provider. Cool. Done. Done. Let's go to my server. Done. Let's go to our message list and let's make it actually a proper list. So we can remove this. Or we're gonna use some state here. So we'll do const messages. Set messages is equal to use state an array of message initial messages. Cool. Okay, let's remove this, and we're gonna make it a UL. And this UL will be some classes. Flex call gap4. Okay, let's go back to our app actually, so we can look at it. And let's just make it come to life. So we're gonna have messages.map. For each message, we'll output some JSX, which will be an LI element whose key is message.messageID. Okay, we'll have a div, which will be rounded border P4. We'll have a span with flex item center. Sorry, we'll have another div in here called flex item center justify between gap2. Okay, then we'll have a span with text small, font medium. And this will be message.displayName. So this should already show something. There we go. Cool. And then we'll have a time text small, text black 50. We don't, I don't know what this datetime property does actually. I'll look into that another time. New date message dot created at dot to locale date string. Cool. And that covers this div, I believe. Okay, another div with margin top 2, paragraph text small, and message dot content. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And at the bottom of this, right before the LI, we'll create a div that's empty, and we'll just call it We'll give it a ref of ref, which means we're gonna need to use ref. Const ref is equal to use ref, HTML div element, and null. Okay, so we're gonna create a use effect to do the polling. This is the polling part of the app, the real-time part of the app. Okay, so okay, so let timeout ID is a Node.js .timeout. Okay, and then we'll do a try block and a catch block with error, and we'll do console.error error. Okay, and then this will exist inside of a function actually called const run is equal to an async function, and then we will run. And on the cleanup, we will clear timeout. Clear timeout. Timeout ID. Okay. This error will go in a second. So try. What are we trying? We're gonna get our messages. Await. Find all messages. Remember, that comes back as data messages. And so we can log the new messages, but we're not going to. JSON.stringify messages is not equal to JSON. So what I'm doing here is to check if the current messages is the same as or not the same as the messages we already have. If they're different, then let's go ahead and replace the whole array. This is probably a very expensive operation in the long run, but I couldn't think of a simpler way to do this. I would like, if anyone had feedback on how to do this, because short polling is like the most bare bone level of real time, so it might not be ideal in general. But I think for this, it's a really good introduction. So if they're different, let's go ahead and set messages to our new messages. And then right at the end, we'll do timeout ID is equal to set timeout to run after every 3 seconds. My phone is going crazy. What's going on here? Okay, nothing crazy, nothing important. Okay, put that away. So you can see here now we're making a bunch of post requests every 3 seconds. We're checking over and over again if there's new messages. So we can check right now. It's like my second message. Bang, there we go. It appears. Okay, let's add a couple more. My third message. I can't think of anything creative to say, geez. Sorry, I haven't made a video in a while. So we can see the messages are coming in. We're not scrolling to the bottom automatically. I found a slight fix for this, which involves our ref right here. So we're going to create another use effect to take care of that. And this will take no dependencies. Oh, wants us to have, what's it want us to have? Messages. Okay. And we'll do ref.current.scroll into view behavior smooth. And then we will do messages. So now we'll scroll to the bottom automatically. So, hey, How is it going? So checking every 3 seconds. Is there new messages? Is there new messages? Is there new messages? And now we're done. We're pretty much done. Let's just see an action with 2 people, right? So I'm gonna go in incognito mode. I'm gonna have to go to local 3000. I'm just gonna have to do another 10-minute mail thing. 10-minute mail. Let's do temp mail again. I won't log out. Register. Okay, we'll do secret person, whatever. Doesn't matter. Name doesn't matter here. We're using the email to create display name. Okie dokie. I need my confirmation code. Here we go. Copy, paste, continue. Boom. Okay, now we got 2 people in the chat. Let's start talking to each other. All right. Hey, I'm John. Hey, John, what's up? Not much, just coding. You? Same, to be honest. Making a video. Really? That's so cool. Okay, there you go. And now you can. There's a lot of things you can do to amp this up. You can look into long polling. You can look into WebSockets, and you can look into server send events. I think they're called. I'm also looking into that slowly. Some other things you could do to make this project better is you can deploy it. Since we're using a local database, it's not going to work out. So if you want to stick with SQLite, you can use Terso. Terso.db, I think. Terso.tech. This is cloud SQLite, or you can use Prisma, MongoDB, whatever you want. You can create a skeleton so that when you first load the pages, it kind of like shows like a nice little loading effect in case it takes a while for messages to come. And you can limit messages too. So like maybe you only want 50 messages in the chat, and then after that, have some kind of system in place to delete your messages. One small issue that I noticed is like if I scroll up, actually, I think it's okay. Let me see. Okay, it's okay. I think I fixed it with this line right here. The check if they're the same. So we won't change the messages if they're the same. So before it was constantly scrolling. If I scrolled up, it would just. Let me show you what happens if I remove this line right here. Let's refresh the page. So now if I scrolled up saying, hey, I want to look at some older, it's going to keep scrolling down, which is not good. So maybe I want to look up, say, oh, what did he say before? Oh, his name is John. Okay, that's cool. So yeah, look at it. If it's a nice page, this is the mobile view. So if it's the mobile view, the desktop view is just going to be pretty much the same. So if you start mobile first, this is one advantage. Like, but at the same time, maybe you want the desktop view to be much more, expansive. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope this was somewhat enjoyable. I know it's kind of like maybe not what you were looking forward to, but I have some stuff in the backlog, and I hope to get some more heavier content out. So yeah, thanks for listening, and hope you have a good day.